In the vast repertoire of modern horror, few entities have left as deep and terrifying a mark as Valak. This demon, known as the Profane, or the Defiler, has captured the imagination of millions through its appearances in the Conjuring franchise. However, its story is not just another series of jump scares, but a complex tale of demonic myths, pacts, and human tragedies spanning centuries. In this video, we will unravel the mysteries of Valak together, from its earliest mentions in demonological mythology to its most chilling manifestations in the Conjuring movie saga. We will explore how this entity blends elements of ancient folklore with modern horrors, and how its presence completely alters the fate of those who cross its path. To truly understand who or what Valak is, we must look beyond its iconic form as a demonic nun. Behind that blasphemous appearance lies a being of incomprehensible power, a history shrouded in shadows, and a direct connection to some of humanity's greatest tragedies. Its story combines elements of demonological mythology with a modern visual reinterpretation that amplifies its terror and symbolism. In ancient times, Valak was an angel in heaven who served God. However, when Lucifer rebelled against God and rallied other angels to follow him, Valak was among them. After the rebellion, Lucifer was cast out of heaven and became Satan, while Valak and the other fallen angels were transformed into demons. During this process, Valak not only lost his status as an angel, but also the divine powers he once possessed. This descent marked the beginning of his existence as a great president of hell, a title reflecting his high rank within the infernal legions, as documented in the 17th century grimoire known as the Lesser Key of Solomon. In this demonological text, Valak is described in a way very different from the terrifying figure we know from the movies. Here he is depicted as a winged child, angelic in appearance, riding a two-headed dragon. This angelic image is a stark contrast to his malevolent nature and highlights his capacity for deception, a trait that has defined both his mythological representation and his cinematic adaptation. In demonology, Valak not only commands 30 legions of demons, but also possesses the ability to locate hidden treasures and manipulate snakes, elements that connect him to forbidden knowledge and temptation. In the Conjuring universe, Valak takes the form of a demonic nun, a decision that is not only visually terrifying, but also serves to attack faith and go unnoticed. This appearance reflects his desire to distort the sacred and exploit the spiritual insecurities of his victims. The Cârța Monastery, located in a remote region of Romania, is a place steeped in mystery and tragedy. Originally built as a castle in the Middle Ages by a duke obsessed with the occult, this site would become the epicenter of the horrors linked to Valak. History tells that the duke, fascinated by promises of power and wealth offered by demonological texts like the Ars Goetia, devoted his life to dark rituals, eager to connect with the forces of hell. The duke discovered references to Valak in ancient manuscripts describing the demon as a being capable of revealing hidden treasures and granting control over fearsome creatures. Enticed by these promises, the duke performed a forbidden ritual in the depths of his castle, using a summoning circle engraved with symbols of the double Ouroboros, a serpent biting its tail, representing the eternal cycles of life, death, and rebirth. This ritual, fueled by human sacrifices, aimed to open a portal to the underworld and bring Valak into the earthly plane. The duke succeeded, but with devastating consequences. When Valak emerged, a being of pure malevolence, darkness began consuming the castle and its surroundings. Records recount that terrified locals, disturbed by the unnatural activities emanating from the castle, pleaded for help from the church. This led to a drastic intervention, with priests sent by the Vatican storming the site to confront the unleashed evil. The clerics managed to seal the portal using a sacred artifact, a reliquary containing the blood of Christ. This spiritual sacrifice not only closed the breach, but also trapped Valak within the castle's depths, which was then transformed into the Cârța Monastery. However, this seal was not eternal, and as we'll see later, future events such as the bombings during World War II would weaken this bond, allowing Valak to return to the world and begin a new wave of terror. The Cârța Monastery remained silent for centuries, guarded by nuns who maintained a constant vigil of prayer to ensure the evil never escaped its prison. Yet even these sacred barriers succumbed to the ravages of war. During World War II, the massive bombings that struck Romania not only destroyed lives and buildings, but also compromised the spiritual and physical foundations of the monastery. It was at this critical moment that the seal trapping Valak began to break. The bombs that fell near the monastery fractured the ground, and ancient crypts weakening the seal made with the blood of Christ. The massive destruction, combined with the human suffering caused by the war, served as a catalyst for Valak's resurgence. This mix of pain and chaos provided the demon with the energy needed to regain strength and ultimately break free from confinement. When Valak emerged, it did so with a clear purpose: to reclaim the place that had once served as its portal to the human world. However, its release was not immediately apparent. The demon adopted the form of a nun, a strategic disguise that allowed it to move stealthily among the monastery's true inhabitants. This act was not only a means of concealment, but also a direct mockery of the nuns' faith, a declaration that their devotion was insufficient to contain it. The consequences of Valak's liberation were devastating. One by one, the nuns fell, whether from fear, direct attacks by the demon, or their own sacrifices to prevent becoming tools of evil. Sister Victoria, the last known survivor of this tragedy, made a desperate decision: to take her own life to thwart Valak's attempt to use her body as a vessel and escape the monastery. This act marked the beginning of a series of events that caught the Vatican's attention and led to new confrontations with the demon. In 1952, the Vatican responded to disturbing rumors surrounding the St. Cârța Monastery following Sister Victoria's self-termination act. Stories of supernatural phenomena and a dark presence prompted ecclesiastical authorities to send Father Burke, an experienced exorcist, and Sister Irene, a novice nun with a unique gift for perceiving the supernatural. Their mission was clear: investigate the circumstances surrounding the monastery's tragedy and determine whether it remained suitable for religious life. From the moment they arrived, Valak began to manipulate them. On the first night, both experienced unsettling visions exploiting their deepest fears. For Father Burke, the demon took the form of a boy he had failed to save during a past exorcism, intensifying his guilt and draining his spiritual energy. For Irene, the manifestations played on her insecurities about her faith and her place in the convent. These tactics were designed not only to emotionally exhaust them, but also to distract them from the true threat hidden beneath the monastery. As Burke and Irene explored the monastery, they began unraveling fragments of its dark history. They discovered texts and symbols confirming that the site had been a center of occult activity during the Middle Ages. The remnants of the summoning circle and engravings of the double Ouroboros revealed that the location had not only been a monastery, but also a portal to hell. Aware of the threat the pair posed, the demon wasted no time in escalating its attacks. Through visions, possessions, and inexplicable phenomena, Valak tried to deter them from their mission. Sister Irene, in particular, began to experience a disturbing connection with the entity. Her visions became more frequent and intense, as though Valak were marking her for a sinister purpose. As their investigation continued, they realized that the only way to combat the evil was to locate the relic that had sealed Valak centuries ago, the reliquary containing the blood of Christ. But finding it would be no easy task, especially with Valak lurking in every corner of the monastery. The final confrontation between Father Burke, Sister Irene, and Valak took place in the monastery's shadowy crypts, a place steeped in malevolence, where echoes of the Duke's dark rituals still lingered. Guided by Irene's visions, the pair descended into the deepest part of the monastery, knowing the relic was their only hope of stopping the demon. The crypts were a labyrinth of dark tunnels, adorned with sacrilegious symbols, and the Ouroboros, the hallmark of Valak. As they progressed, they felt the oppressive presence of the demon, who was determined to prevent them from accessing the reliquary. The demon used its control over snakes by manifesting one that emerged from a child's mouth, taking Father Burke by surprise and biting him before he could react, leaving Irene to face the danger with what little she had. The crypts, being the site of the original portal, amplified Valak's influence. In the chaos, Irene became separated from Burke, and Valak seized the opportunity to attack her directly. Facing the demon head-on, Irene began reciting prayers, clinging to her faith as her only shield. When she finally found the reliquary containing the blood of Christ, Irene was attacked again. This time, Valak attempted to possess her, invading her body with its malevolent essence. In these critical moments, Irene performed an extraordinary act of faith and used the reliquary and its contents to resist the demon's control. In a courageous maneuver, she pretended to be fully dominated, luring Valak close enough to confront it directly. The blood of Christ applied directly to the demon had a devastating effect. Valak was thrown toward the open portal, screaming in fury as its form began to decompose. The portal to hell, fueled by the released energy, began to close once again. However, while it appeared that the demon had been defeated, a shadow of doubt remained. The apparent defeat of the demon in the crypts did not mark the end of its influence. Although the portal to hell was sealed, the battle left deep scars on the protagonists and the monastery itself. As Father Burke and Sister Irene emerged from the shadows, they carried the weight of a bitter victory. The demon had been expelled, but not eradicated. A disturbing revelation followed the events at St. Cârța Monastery. Maurice, known as Frenchie, who had helped Sister Irene and Father Burke, showed signs of having been marked by Valak. An inverted cross appeared under the skin of his neck, a sign that the demon had managed to maintain a connection to the physical world. During the confrontation in the crypts, Valak transferred part of its essence to Maurice, using him as a vessel for its survival and marking the beginning of a new cycle of terror. For Sister Irene, the events at Cârța were transformative. Facing Valak not only reinforced her faith, but also deeply connected her to the spiritual realm. However, the trauma she endured led her to retreat from public life. Meanwhile, Father Burke, although he survived the encounter with Valak at the Cârța Monastery, did not have a fortunate fate. Before the events of the Nun II, it is revealed that he died of cholera. His absence is mentioned during Sister Irene's meeting with the Vatican, where she is informed that the priest has already passed away, leaving a void in the fight against the demon. Decades later, Maurice's possession became a critical case for Ed and Lorraine Warren, who intervened in his exorcism. During the process, Lorraine experienced a terrifying vision of Valak, linking her fate to the demons. Although they succeeded in freeing Maurice, the event left deep emotional scars on Lorraine, who began having recurring visions of Valak and its future confrontation with the Warrens. Between the events of the Nun and The Conjuring 2, Valak, through Maurice, sought the eyes of Saint Lucy, a sacred relic with the power to grant clairvoyance. Sister Irene, discovering this plan, unearthed the relic but was ambushed by Valak. The demon reclaimed the relic and restored its angelic powers, directly confronting Irene and her apprentice. Through an act of faith, the two transformed wine into the blood of Christ and used this sacred symbol to weaken and set Valak ablaze. Maurice was freed from possession, though doubts lingered about whether the demon was definitively exiled to hell. Valak reappeared during the events in Amityville, where Lorraine Warren experienced a vision of the demon in its nun form. Later in the United Kingdom, the Hodgson family faced paranormal activity seemingly caused by the spirit of Bill Wilkins, only for it to be revealed that Valak had been manipulating the spirit. The demon also took the form of the Crooked Man, terrorizing the Hodgson family while concealing its true identity. In the climax, Lorraine recalls the demon's name, an essential tool to condemn it to hell. Facing Valak, Lorraine uses her faith and pronounces its name, seemingly ending its influence. Valak's connection to the Warrens is deeply personal. Its initial defeat at the monastery, its expulsion from Maurice's body, and its confrontation with Lorraine have made it a recurring nemesis for the investigators. Although it has been defeated on multiple occasions, Valak, represented by the Ouroboros, symbolizes eternal cycles of return and terror. Its ability to adapt and manipulate events, people, other spirits, and demonic entities makes it a constant threat, always leaving the possibility of its return open. In conclusion, Valak is not only one of the most terrifying entities in the Conjuring universe, but also one of the most complex, an entity that always leaves a deeply personal impact on the characters who face it. From its origins as a fallen angel to its transformation into a symbol of terror and deception, Valak represents the eternal conflict between good and evil, wielding faith, fear, and deceit as its primary weapons. Though it has been defeated more than once, its ability to adapt and survive makes it a constant menace, a reminder that evil always lurks, even in the most sacred places. Valak's story teaches us that faith, courage, and unity are essential in confronting the forces that seek to destroy us. And that's all for today. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the story of one of the most iconic demons in horror cinema. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to watch all my new videos. See you in the next one. Hey, don't go just yet. If you enjoyed my video, I'd love to recommend another one for you to watch.